welcome to this week's midweek warm-up. We are midweek and in the truck again, so just thought we'd go through Job chapter 28.
Yes, this is a funny chapter because it has 28 verses. I like that. The next one does not have 29 verses, but it should. Okay, so if you remember last time we were talking about where Job was at, and Job was going through and saying, yeah, I'm innocent, and you guys aren't. We have a spectator that's watching us through the window. And so this week it is talking about wisdom. Emily's stroking her beard apparently.
Don't.
It's not there right now.
Anyway, so obviously wisdom is a subject that kind of, I think in the U.S. we don't understand it very well because we confuse wisdom and knowledge.
Yes, they're much different.
And also people who are often opinionated, we kind of perceive them as being wise.
But they generally aren't.
But sometimes it's just their opinions and they're loud.
They just talk a lot.
Yeah. So anyway, Job obviously is not quite like that. So.
Well, when you look at Solomon, he didn't talk a lot. He just said things that were poignant with his time. And it says that even a fool seems wise until he opens his mouth. So there you have it.
Yeah.
So obviously the one who talks isn't the one that's wise.
Yeah.
Don't tell that to your pastor.
That's not. It doesn't mean because they're speaking that they're not wise. Just
quantity. Brevity is not a gift. It is wisdom.
Anyway.
Hi.
Continue.
Okay. So Job 28 reads, surely there's a mine for silver and a place where gold is refined. Iron is taken from the earth and copper is smelted from ore. Man puts an end to darkness and searches every recess for ore in the darkness and the shadow of death. He breaks open a shaft away from people, in places forgotten by feet. They hang far away from men, they swing to and fro. As for the earth, when it comes, or from it comes bread, but underneath as is turned up as by fire, its stones are the source of sapphires, and it contains gold dust. That path no bird knows, nor has a falcon's eyes seen it. The proud lions have not trodden it, nor has the fierce lion passed over it. He puts his hand on the flint. He overturns the mountains at the roots. He cuts out channels in the rocks, and his eye sees every precious thing. He dams up the streams from trickling. What is hidden he brings forth to light. Where can wisdom be found, and where is the place of understanding? Man does not know its value, nor is it found in the land of living. The deep says, it is not in me, and the sea says, it is not with me. It cannot be purchased for gold, nor can silver be weighed for its price. It cannot be valued in gold of Ophir, in precious onyx or sapphire. Neither gold nor crystal can equal it, nor can it be exchanged for jewelry of fine gold. No mention shall be made of coral or quartz, for the price of wisdom is above rubies. The topaz of Ethiopia cannot equal it, nor can be valued in pure gold. Where then does wisdom come, and where is the place of understanding? It is hidden from the eyes of all living, and concealed from the birds of the air. Destruction and death say, we have heard a report about it with our ears. God understands its way, and he knows its place. For he looks to the ends of the earth, and sees under the whole heavens. To establish a weight for the wind, and apportion the waters by measure. When he made a law for the rain, and a path for the thunderbolt, then he saw wisdom and declared it. He prepared it, indeed, he searched it out. And to man he said, behold, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom, and to depart from evil is understanding. So how do you think or feel about it?
I am kind of a geek, and I really love science and geology, and I think
Greek.
all of what he's
Greek,
talking about, like he makes channels through the rocks, and in verse 10, I don't know, it's such a cool word picture. It's all of the things that we can see, like, oh my goodness, look, the water just made a hole through this giant rock, or the wind has eroded and made a hole through, and made arches, and just things that we see that we're like, oh, that's amazing that nature does that. But it's not some mysterious unknown unnamed force. It's God.
Yeah, it would be God, but this isn't talking about God.
Okay, well, then I'm off.
We're not too far off. Well, all of verse 1 through 11 is talking about the process of man digging up precious metals from the earth.
Okay.
It's saying, we want something so much we're going to go take down the mountain over there because we want it, because we know it's at the bottom. And of course, that was before they had forensics for geology where they can go and use LiDAR and say, oh, we know there's this metal and this metal and this metal and this mountain down there. Let's go get them. That was back when I was, okay, there's a mountain over there. There's probably something in there that we want. Let's dig a hole in it until we find what we want. And that's what he's talking about here. He cuts out channels in the rocks and his eye sees every precious thing. It's man digs holes to get what we want out of it.
Okay.
Because this entire chapter here is talking about the value of wisdom and where is wisdom from. And so, as we've seen, countries can have lots and lots and lots and lots of money. And it doesn't mean they're not going to do stupid things with it. I mean, Germany was once a very, very, very rich nation. And they used their wealth to go and attack everyone else on the planet.
And it didn't end well.
Yeah, attacking Russia over winter, that was not a smart choice.
Yeah.
Anyone with any sort of common sense would have known, should we drive a tank through the snow? No, that's a bad idea.
In the mud and, yeah.
Let's push 180 miles through mud during drain season. Yeah, that's real smart.
Yeah.
So there were lots of really stupid things that Germany did besides the whole, Holocaust thing. But this is talking about mankind throughout all of history. This is what we've done. And so, like in verse 1, it says, surely there's a mine for silver and a place where gold is refined. But iron is taken from the earth and copper is melted from ore. Man puts an end to darkness and searches every recess for ore in the darkness and the shadow of death. So, obviously there's been lots of stories in the news over the last few years about mines collapsing. And it generally doesn't go well for the miners when they do. And that's part of the reality of we're digging a hole in a giant rock. Do we really not expect the rock to fall in on itself?
Eventually, possibly.
Well, can a bridge sustain itself without pylons holding it up? Even with pylons, the bridges still fall down sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's for a bridge, not a mountain that is not measured in tons. It's measured in billions or trillions of tons for its weight. So the fact that we think that we can dig up a hole like that and have it to stay up at all is pretty arrogant of us. Because even anthills collapse in on themselves. And they're a lot smaller. So in verse 4 it says, he breaks open a shaft away from people and places forgotten by feet. And they hang far away from men. They swing to and fro. So obviously, most mine shafts are not built inside towns. That would be a stupid choice. I mean, you're going out for your walk at night and going, oh, it's so nice. Ah!
Well, that's one of the big issues in Montana because there were so many mining claims. Like out in the woods, you have to be a little more cautious because there could be a random mine shaft somewhere. There are several places where there are just mine shafts and
all over the place. You can fall into one.
Have to be careful.
Because they are not marked or
Most
covered.
of them, I don't think, are at this point.
Yeah, most of them are kind of buried under branches and trees and stuff.
Yeah.
And you can't see them until you're in them. And some of them go a long ways down. You'll never be seen again.
Yeah. Yeah. Not a pleasant thought.
And so Job goes from that to verse 5 where it says, as for the earth, from it comes bread. So obviously that's kind of missing a few steps because he's getting to a point saying that we have to grow wheat and that makes the bread eventually. But it says, but underneath it is turned up as by fire. And so if you ever seen a fire burn something, it just burns it and goes all the way through it, and it generally eats the way from the bottom up. It doesn't start at the top and work down normally. And so it just kind of collapses as it burns through things. And so you can't see it very well, but I can see the fire burning in the boiler behind us. I'm watching it. And it burns from the bottom of the boiler up to the top, and if it doesn't get enough air in, it'll burn a hole in the center of it that eventually will collapse in. And that's what happens when we mine stuff out.
In the center of the wood, not the boiler itself.
And the boiler itself actually has holes rusted in it, but that's a different matter. It's just when we dig holes, if we dig under something, it collapses into it. Because it's not very wise for us to do such. But when we do that, that's where it says, verse 6, its stones are the source of sapphires, and it contains gold dust. And obviously, it's the path no bird knows, because birds don't live underground. That'd be kind of dumb. But it goes over then, and he puts his hand on the flint, and he overturns the mountains at the roots. He cuts out channels in the rocks, and his eyes see every precious thing. And then he dams up the streams from trickling, and what is hidden he brings forth to light. And so, if you've ever seen mining, most of the gold is not taken out by, let's say you're chipping away, and oh look, here's a big gold nugget. No, it's, you wash it out of all the detritus that you mined out, or nowadays blowout. Because a lot of it's done with dynamite or other explosives.
Well, and if you've, sorry.
There you go.
If you've ever done gold panning, it's not really that common to find gold nuggets. It's flakes and bits and pieces that kind of wash out that you kind of have to collect and consolidate to make it
into a reasonable amount.
Yeah.
But that's why he's damming up the stream here, is because he needs the water available to run through a sluice box. They didn't have hydroelectric dams at that point.
Okay.
It's a bit different time period than we have now. Obviously nowadays a lot of rivers have massive dams on it to run power to cities, but back then it was, like Emily was saying earlier, is water cuts through dirt and the rocks come out. Eventually it'll cut through the rocks too, but we want the rocks. Especially the shiny ones. We don't want the dirt though. Because dirt's just dirty.
I knew that was coming.
She should have known. It's me. So in verse 12, he gets to the point of why he's talking about jewels and says, but where can wisdom be found? And where is the place of understanding? Man does not know its value, nor is it found in the land of the living. And the deep says, it is not in me. And the sea says, it is not with me. And so all these things are saying, we have been looking for wisdom throughout this time period. Because my kids died. All my stuff died. Everything's taken away from me. Where is the wisdom I needed? And obviously he knew the answer is in God. But it, repeatedly throughout these last 27 verses or chapters is Job saying, where are you, God? And why aren't you telling me these things? And right now he's going through and expounding and saying, we are searching for the most valuable commodity of all, which is God's wisdom. And he's comparing it to gold. And here, gold, silver, onyx, sapphire, crystal, quartz, jewelry, coral, rubies, topaz. All these things are precious or semi-precious stones, or obviously very valuable metals, because they didn't really have access to things like chromium, selenium, titanium, stuff like that at that point. But gold was worth a lot. And if you wanted to buy something, gold was your best friend. Because it took not very much of it, and you could buy a lot of stuff. And it still does that today, but it's really easy to get things that are gold plated nowadays. And that's not nearly as valuable. And so he goes through and it talks about all these different highly valuable things, and they're all searching for them. But none of these things are valued nearly as highly as wisdom is.
Yeah.
Because even like here it says the gold of Ophir, or the rubies and the topaz of Ethiopia. Those were amazing things at that time period. But they didn't mean anything compared to the search for wisdom.
Yeah. Well, and I guess it seems to me like his implication is that mankind should be ardently seeking wisdom from God, not flippantly like, eh. So part of this is him saying we should be seeking God for his wisdom, not going to him with our own conclusions.
Yeah, so we should be searching for God, not just because he's God, but also because we need his wisdom, which obviously we should want God no matter what, because God is the source of all wisdom, source of all life, source of all hope, source of love, source of fill in the blank here, except for bad things, because none of them come from God. But we have to seek after God in order to gain his wisdom, in order to understand what love is, to understand where hope is and peace and comfort and all these other things. But he's saying we need to do it with the same perseverance that we apply to finding gold, silver, rubies, topaz, sapphires, which I mentioned earlier to Emily that it's funny that sapphire is considered to be blue color, but the sapphires from the Yogo Mountains here in Montana are purple.
Well, they're kind of like an off purple, bluish purple.
Kind of violetish. And sometimes it's transparent, sometimes it's really deep and smoky. But the ones here just aren't blue. Emily's falling asleep apparently, because she's not trying hard enough to stay awake.
I am not falling asleep. I was thinking about jewelry, actually.
She's thinking about all the bling. Oh wait, there isn't any. Look,
I have
rubber.
a rubber fake ring.
That's not my fault.
I have my wedding band. It does not have a stone on it, but
She didn't get stoned.
no. That band I put away when we moved because we're doing construction and I didn't want it to get broken or smashed or damaged, so
Mine's somewhere.
he has one of these too, but he doesn't like to wear it.
It's somewhere too.
Anyway,
I got fat fingers.
I think the way that he references all of these different precious stones and semi-precious stones and metals and things, again, those are just word pictures to help really drive home the point that wisdom from God is something that's precious and beautiful and something that is to be desired.
Well, it does say precious several times in there.
Yes.
But then it ends with, nor can be valued in pure gold.
Yeah.
Which historically was the most valuable thing on the planet. Much more so than diamonds were. Because gold had use. Diamonds were, ooh, look, they're shiny.
Yeah.
Gold you could use to make things.
Yeah.
Like all the official basins and everything in the temple were made out of gold. Diamonds just got stuck into them. They weren't good for anything in and of themselves.
Yeah. I mean, they've been put to more use now.
Yeah, industrially, we have uses for them now because we can make glass cutters, and then there's obviously diamonds used in lasers for focus, and they're used in drills and blah, 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 blah. They're used in lots and lots of things now. But historically, we couldn't cut them. So all you could do to cut them is make them into smaller and smaller ones to make them pretty. We didn't have the capacity to stick them onto metals to make them cut things. We didn't have ways to shine lights through them to make them into weapons or surgical implements, stuff like that.
Yeah. I don't know. I had something, but I lost it.
Yes. I had that happen too. Okay, so verse 20. From where then does this wisdom come? And where is the place of understanding? It is hidden from the eyes of all living and concealed from the birds of the air. Destruction and death say, we have heard a report about it with our ears. God understands its way, and he knows its place. For he looks to the ends of the earth and sees under the whole heavens to establish a weight for the wind and portion the waters by measure. When he made a law for the rain and a path for the thunderbolt, then he saw wisdom and declared it. He prepared it indeed. He searched it out. And to man he said, behold, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom, and depart from evil is understanding. So, I may not know about everybody, but I've never been able to measure wind. I mean, how heavy is the wind? Have you ever tried to weigh the wind? I mean, we measure it in speed and direction, but how much does the wind weigh?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty sure that we can't quantify a weight for wind. It's more just the force in which it blows, or how strong it is, how much it can move.
Yeah, I don't think we can, but it says right here that God did measure it. God established how much wind weighs and how much water there is on the planet. I mean, we can estimate there's this much water in the oceans, but We can't really say how much water there is in the oceans, in the animals, in the people, in the air,
in the lakes and streams,
in the ground,
and
in the everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we can say 70% of the earth is water. How big is the earth? I don't know. It's bigger than I am. But
Yeah.
it says clearly here that God in his wisdom measured that. And then after measuring it, he made the laws determining how the rain works, how thunder works, how everything in existence works. And it works because he said it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can search for it. And it's all the way around us in everything happening. But unless we look at it, understanding that this is what God's done, and searching for God's wisdom in it, we're going to miss it.
Yeah.
So like Emily was saying earlier, if you go gold panning, it's really easy to miss those gold flakes.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're all over the place, but it doesn't mean you're going to see them.
Yeah.
And so much like throwing out the baby with bathwater, which I'm not sure how that one worked, because the baby's kind of big generally. You can throw out gold flakes when you're done panning. You ever throw out the baby with the bathwater?
No.
Well, normally we just pull a plug and the bathwater goes.
Yes, but the concept is still there.
Well, it was a lot different when they had to actually boil water and pour in a big basin and all that stuff.
That sounds unpleasant.
Yeah, makes you glad you got plumbing, huh?
Mm-hmm.
If only we had indoor plumbing. We used to. Not right now.
Story.
But anyway, going on, very end it says, "Behold the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom." So there are multiple places in the Bible where it says the beginning of wisdom is the fear of the Lord. And so obviously the American mindset is, why would we be scared of God? There's lots of reasons to be scared of God. You should be scared of the wind that's blowing the truck around right now.
The wind is bouncing the truck.
We're not drunk, nor is the camera. Just the wind is. But the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And so it is very wise. Okay, so where we were before the camera overheated and died. Too bad for that. Is that it is wise to fear and respect something that is bigger than you.
Yeah.
Like, you should respect an elephant when an elephant's nearby you. Don't taunt the elephant.
And it's not a matter of like revering, but have a wise awareness of your puniness next to something like that.
It's just like, don't taunt the hippo. The hippo will eat you.
And it won't think twice.
Don't taunt the grizzly bear. Bears will kill you.
Yeah.
And obviously, God's probably not going to kill you. I mean, it's been known to happen throughout history for different reasons, but God made you. God has the right to do such if he decides to. Now it's not anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But really is the beginning of wisdom to fear God. And it's not be scared of God and that he's be apprehensive he's going to zap you at any moment. But just be aware of what God is capable of and what he has done. Because you should want to fear God when you realize that he is so big that we can't comprehend it. And it's not just comprehend, it's we can't hold a candle to knowing what God really is. Because we're this big. And God's everything else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's funny because even in this chapter, Job is talking about how mankind strives and toils for all of these riches and beautiful, valuable things. But God made those things, and he doesn't, he makes the path for the lightning bolt. That verse, let's see.
Verse 26.
Yeah. He made a law for the rain and a path for the thunderbolt. It's literally just part of who God is to make things that we can't even fathom how they work, much less begin to try and emulate making that. So obviously we should be seeking wisdom from him and seeking his guidance. So I don't know, anything else?
Respect God. Seek God for wisdom. It says if you ask God for wisdom, he'll be happy to offer it generously to all who you ask.
Yeah.
You have to mean it when you ask for it, though.
Well, it means that I don't think that if you say, God, I want wisdom so I can prove you wrong, it's not gonna.
That doesn't count, because there's no such thing as God wisdom.
No, that's arrogance.
You can't prove God wrong. You can prove God right.
Yeah.
But that's not very hard to do. He has an entire book about it.
Yeah.
And it's never been proven wrong. And never will.
So, there are going to be lots of people that are going to argue that the Bible has been proven wrong. It has not.
They're proven to have typos because we're humans and we copy and make typos.
Yeah. That's about it.
Scary.
So, yeah. Anything else you want to share about Job?
I'm getting tired of holding your phone.
Alright.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and go pray then. Dear Lord in heaven, we thank you for this day. Thank you for letting it be here safely. We just ask that you would be with everyone who's out yonder and just ask that you would give them all wisdom according to your will. And just ask that you would be willing to step into our lives and help us to see you where you are moving and acting, and just help us to act with wisdom in accordance to that. Just help us to be open to what you're leading and where you have led to for different things, and help us to get at heart stuff moving for the summer. We just thank you that you are a great and mighty God, and that you are bigger, better, and more complex than anything else in existence. And thank you so much for you being you and for sending your cross, or son to die on the cross for us. In your wonderful name I pray. Amen.
Cool. So, next week,
next week is the next chapter.
Job continues talking about his past, and
we're almost done with Job's monologue.
Yeah, but I think this week it just was a matter of God's glory in all these things that we strive for, that we in ourselves can never attain without seeking God.
Yeah.
So, alright, so thanks for joining us, thanks for bearing with us, and let us know your thoughts, your questions, and no, stop. And yeah, we'll talk to you soon. We'll talk to you next week.
Past the storm.